Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
Well, I don't know about you, but when I'm driving around, I love this time of year, seeing all the colors. But what else is going on is the farmers are out there harvesting the soybeans, the corn, all of that. And if you're listening to my voice right now, you should be out there harvesting too. What? You're saying harvesting corn and soybeans? Maybe apples if you're in farming? No. What I want you to harvest is the gains in your portfolio. Markets are way up. We talk about it all the time. You should be harvesting those gains and put them in a position that you can make money in the future in another way.
I thought you were going to talk about harvesting deer.
Oh, yeah, that's going on too.
Well,
I'll take any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Everyone's out in the woods, and yeah, the deer seem to get a little more active on the morning drive to work, so we got to be a little more careful around here, and good times all the way around.
Yeah, for sure. But we're going to talk some more today about some of that financial harvesting. But Gary is right. This is what they're doing with their clients right now at Matson Financial Services. And if you don't know what we're talking about, we encourage you, go ahead this weekend and talk to our team off the air about getting one of those final few appointment times here in 2025 at Matson Financial. You can do that at any point during today's show. If you have questions about anything we discussed or that tax loss harvesting some of those gains in your portfolio, you can do that with us off the air, 800-536-8907. Or as always, just schedule a chat to go over some of those initial questions with our team at matsonfinancial.com. Hitting that schedule now button there. That's Matson with 2 T's financial.com. But as we do every weekend, guys, I love to go into the financial headlines out there and discuss how it impacts us and our finances. And this one doesn't necessarily sound like one that impacts us, but I had to discuss this because it's one of the most shocking stories, I think, over the last couple of weeks here. The sports world has been buzzing and, quite frankly, rocked by a sports gambling scandal that has...
So stupid.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, absolutely. And so here's what's happened. FBI Director Kash Patel announced the arrest of several big names as part of a wide-ranging investigation. Listen to what he had to say about this.
This is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing.
So one of the first thoughts that went through my head, though, as I heard about the allegations in this case against some coaches, players here, is why would people with such successful careers who are making millions every year, the top of their game, risk everything in order to gamble away, everything in this case? So criminal activity aside here, guys, I'm wondering if there is a lesson in this somewhere for those of us who've been successful in our own careers, saved well, and perhaps taking some unnecessary risks with our own money.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story is that age-old story. It comes down to one word: greed. Right? So wanting to take risks because you have so much, you want to have more. I mean, we can relate this. Yes, this is about the NBA and sports betting, but it relates to the financial sector as well. Let's talk Bernie Madoff. Let's talk Enron. Instead of doing what's right and what you should be thinking about as the greater good for everyone, you think about yourselves, you become selfish, and I want more, and it's not going to change anything. If you're a billionaire and you have a couple extra $100 million, is it really going to change things for you?
No.
So, I mean, that's how I relate it, but the financial aspect, like what you're speaking of, why take that risk?
I'm going to go back to a little bit of psychology here. Maybe I'm wrong in this, but I'm going to throw that out there and then kind of embellish on it a little bit. So many times that people do very, very well and they're building up great wealth and they just don't feel worthy of that wealth. And so they're going to do things to screw it up. We've seen it in relationships, you see it in money, you see it all the time. And we've seen clients actually come to us and have that feeling that, oh, look, I've got $1.5 million in my 401k. I'm retired now, so I can be Santa. I'm going to give things away and I'm going to jeopardize myself. Why? I think it's about 78% of people win the lottery end up bankrupt. Why is that? Well, two things. One is they don't feel worthy of the money. They didn't earn it. And secondly is they didn't get expert help. Michael Jordan's one of those guys out there, did very, very well. It's nothing for him to bet on golf per hole, like 10 grand. Okay, closest to this one, we're going to put 10 grand up. Who's going to win? The decimal point, you might do $10 because,
Wow, I'm not a good golfer. I might do $1.
yeah, just to throw it in the pot.
Right.
But for him, it's just a decimal point because he is so wealthy. Here we have something jeopardizing your career, your ambitions, and everything. And so they don't think it's going to happen to them. In other words, I'm not going to get caught. I'm going to take it on the risk. I'm putting some joy in my life. I don't know about you, but I've heard that Michael Jackson felt the most comfortable when he was on stage. Everything else was waiting for that time to get back on stage where he felt the most comfortable. Being up on stage, getting that thrill, they're still looking for that thrill.
Yeah.
Whether you're an actor out there, we've seen them do drugs and those type of things, they're looking for that thrill that they get when they're performing.
And that makes sense because these were former athletes who aren't playing anymore. They're either coaching or they're administrative. They don't have that thrill of competition, and maybe this was giving them that thrill. So I think you're spot on, Gary.
So that's why we don't want to put you in that position, is that we've seen clients come in with what I'm going to call stinking thinking. Hey, I've got this great amount of money. What should I be doing with it? Putting a consistent plan together. That's just like we do when somebody gets a windfall, whether it's an inheritance or a lottery winning, all that. We're going to put a plan together to show you exactly what to do with those dollars. Now, beginning of my career, I had a couple people come in and they had great winnings. And so we took like a large sum of money, you wouldn't think of this, $250,000 and put it in a checking account. Now, I said to them, next meeting, we're going to get together and we're going to see what you did with that. So 90 days down the road, we had him back in for a review. And I said to him, how much of that $250,000 do you have left? Most of them have very little dollars left.
Oh, wow.
Now, we're just talking 90 days. They never made $250,000 in their whole life in a year, and they blew it in 90 days. Now, the purpose of this is to show them that if they continue on this track, what's going to happen? You're going to have no money left. Kind of think of the movie Brewster's Millions. If you haven't seen that one, that's a great one for you to see. If you're doing well, have a large amount of money, you really want that money to work as hard as you did for it. That's what we do here at Matson Financial Services. Put together a plan that really looks at you, your dreams, your goals, your desires. What do you want that to do? And it can be beyond you. What's left, what are you going to do with that? Money is one thing, but it's nice you can transfer that money with the education of those finances as well.
Absolutely. And this is really key, getting that person, that fiduciary advisor who has your best interests in mind. Again, this is just one example here in the sports world of, people taking unnecessary risk. But so many times, average investors are doing the exact same thing, maybe not on a criminal side, but when it comes to just gambling away what you've worked so hard to accumulate over the years. So for our listeners out there who, they need a little bit of guidance. They need to understand, hey, this is how much risk you're taking. Here's how much is appropriate based on what you're telling me your goals are. How can they sit down and actually have that conversation with you as money mentors?
Well, that's what our team is ready to do for you here at Matson Financial. So for the next 5 callers, for our listeners, if you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, give us a call at 1-800-536-8907 and let our team start building that individualized, comprehensive plan that you need, looking at taxes and healthcare and Social Security and estate plan, everything that you're going to have to deal with in retirement. Let's have you in. Let's have that discussion. What is driving you? What are your goals? And let's come up with that plan for you.
Like Gerald said, it's comprehensive, which means we spend about 40 hours putting your plan together. That's why it's so important for us to talk about your dreams, your goals, your desires right up front so we can make sure your plan matches what you're trying to achieve.
And again, our team stands by during the show to take those calls and questions, so you can reach out now at 800-536-8907. If you're driving, just remember our website. You can always set up a phone call later when you get to wherever you're going at matsonfinancial.com. That's Matson with 2 T's, financial.com. Well, earlier, Gary, you mentioned you're doing a lot of harvesting with your clients this time of year. You're also talking to clients about Medicare options. So what a lot of our listeners might not know is that your income plays a big role in how much you pay for Medicare. Even your zip code can be a big factor, too. What else surprises people when they sit down for that Medicare conversation with Matt and other members of your team?
Well, I think the biggest misconception about Medicare is that it's free. It's based upon your income as well as, like you said, where you're living. And so it goes by zip code. So you look at Kent County here in the western part of Grand Rapids, we have one of the lowest costs of Medicare because of that factor of the caregiving and the quality of care and people using it. There's other areas that you can go outside of Michigan. You can go down to Louisiana, Mississippi, Kentucky, some of those states. They don't have that great care system and people aren't using it. So when they do go for care, it's astronomical in numbers because they're not maintaining that. So one of the things you really want to look at is how much money do you have coming in and what counts as taxable. That's why we like to talk about the 3 tax buckets is tax-free, that's wonderful, tax-deferred, so those two work together to bring down the cost of the taxable income bucket.
We have to look at all of those buckets because your total income is going to affect what you pay in Medicare. For instance, the base that everyone pays because it's not free is $185. And if you're married and you're filing a joint tax return, as long as your taxable income that Gary was just talking about is under about $212,000, that's what you pay. But when you go over, that jumps up to $259. It can go as high as over $600 a month for Medicare. And not only does that go up, but your prescription plan is going to go up. So again, be very mindful of not only your income, but what things are going to cost you. And we have to look at all of your sources to try and manufacture a lower taxable income on paper.
Well, that's what the team at Matson Financial Services, they will actually help you break down the numbers, the different factors that go into that decision for you. In fact, Medicare Matt, as we call him affectionately there at the office, he's really busy this time of the year. But if you want to schedule that complimentary consultation, you can do that with our team off the air today as well. 800-536-8907 or find out more about our health solutions right there through our website at matsonfinancial.com. But next, time to fall back this weekend. So what do you do with that extra hour financially? And the unique thing that some wealthy families are doing that you could be doing with your family too. We'll talk about it next here as Money Mentors continues on Wood Radio.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
Well, this is the week that we set our clocks back 1 hour, marking the end of daylight saving time. Kind of a bummer for most of us.
And I thought Congress was talking about ending this at some point. I don't even know.
Well, Congress can't do anything anyway.
Well, that's
Exactly.
true.
Yes.
Well, at first, they can pay themselves while no one else is getting paid. Oh, sorry. Did I go there? My bad.
Yep, you did. But it's so true. It's so true. One chamber passes this legislation, it seems like every year, and then the other one does not. So, yeah, it's the same kind of thing with the budget, right? So,
Well, if you're listening
Blame
to us, welcome to the extra hour you got.
exactly, yes. But appreciate you spending this hour with us here every weekend on Money Mentors. They are Gary Matson and Gerald Green over there. And I hate, too, that it gets dark earlier this time of year. But I do love that we get this bonus hour when we fall back. Much better than the springing forward time change. So let's think, guys, about what we could be doing with that hour financially. Any hints for us on the things that maybe we could accomplish this weekend to improve our situation, let's say in an hour or less? Give us some quick things that we could actually do.
You pick one, Gerald. Tell me what you think.
Well, if you're going to have credit cards, and a lot of us do have credit cards, but if you're going to have a balance, it's okay to look at zero interest credit cards.
Okay.
Like when we look at the interest now on some of these credit cards, even if you have good credit, and that's another topic, being able to switch that balance to a 0% interest, I mean, that just saves, it can save upwards of 29.9%. I've seen almost 30% interest rate on some of my clients' credit cards. I'm like, that should be criminal.
Yeah. Well, if you did, you go to jail.
Yeah, if I started charging my clients 30%, I would be in the slammer before I could blink. So, I mean, looking at things like that, what is the interest rate you are paying on those cards? It's okay to say goodbye to some of those and get new ones that offer better rates. The market is definitely a lot more competitive. Don't settle. When you go shopping for a car and financing a car, you're shopping for the best rate. Same thing when you do it with a home. Why would you not do it with a credit card as well?
And I got to go with my favorite is look for unclaimed assets. What happens, let's say, for example, I was in college up in the UP, and I had to put together a deposit for my electric bill because I didn't have a credit and all that type of stuff. Down the road, I forgot about that, And of course, I moved out of that address, so DTE didn't know where I was living. So what they do? They can't keep those funds. They have to turn over to the state of Michigan, so an unclaimed property. I found that recently, of course, I've been living in the same zip code for over 36 years, but recently I found that Bob's Discount Furniture is holding $350 for me, plus some other health insurance companies that could not pay me for whatever reason owe me money too. So there's about $650 out there in my name, and I've been doing this for clients for years, is looking for that. Also, if you think there's a 401k out there that, hey, I started when I was a kid and I don't remember what happened to those funds, there's a national registry of unclaimed retirement benefits that you can go to. So once again, it doesn't hurt to check. And it's funny because anytime I run this report for our clients, their name might not be on it, but I look in the county they're living or the city, and there's names there that match their last name. So I give them the report. Oh, that's my uncle. That's my aunt. That's my sister. One guy said, oh, that's me. I go, that's not your name. He said, yeah, I changed it. I go, what? He says, well, there are so many of us, all three named the same, so I changed it so I would be different between them. And I go, oh, he says, that's me. That's mine. So once again, there could be big numbers out there. For me, it was $650. So once again, look for unclaimed assets.
I like the one, what I found myself typically doing, because I made a mistake before, I'll admit it. You know, I had signed up, this was a couple of years ago, with being able to sign up for these apps on the smart TVs when they came up and you got a free trial. Well, I kind of forgot about it because I wanted to watch a hockey game. So I ended up paying for several seasons of the NHL TV package and hadn't even realized it until I'm going through and switching. My card actually expired and I got a new one. Then I got an email saying, hey, your subscription. I'm like, I didn't have that subscription. So you have to audit these things. Take a look. Make sure you're looking at your bank accounts. And when you have subscriptions or you'll sign up for something on your phone, try to use one card so it's easier to look and research, and make sure that you're not paying for 2 TV subscriptions, or you're paying for Netflix and your spouse is paying for Netflix. Like, it happens. And then when we sign up for these things in the moment, oh yeah, I'll cancel the free trial, I just want to get through, and we forget about it. So
I like that one.
Audit your subscriptions, because chances are you're paying for probably duplicate at somewhere along the way.
So don't forget, your clock goes back 2 o'clock in the morning.
2 in the morning.
Yes, 2 o'clock
Before
in the
you go
morning
to
goes back
bed.
to 1 o'clock. So long as you're up there at 2 o'clock, going back to 1 o'clock, you got that extra hour in the morning. Nobody's around. Raise your 401k contribution. Saving more for retirement is the way to reward yourself, future self. And of course, you want to make sure you're getting all the benefits that your company could be matching that. And the maximum 401k contribution now has been raised to $23,500, and you want to take care of that. 2 reasons. One is that the dollars you put in now are actually saving you in taxes. So you could actually lower a tax bracket possibly by maxing out your 401k. And secondly, by doing it early in your career, whether you're 23, 33, or 43, even 53, that combination of interest compounding on that is huge for you in the future.
Makes a big, big difference over time. And all these little moves, again, things you can do in an hour or less, and a lot of them could save you a lot of money. But I want to encourage our listeners to this weekend. If you've been putting off a visit to Matson Financial Services, I want to encourage you to invest just a little bit more time and maybe schedule that first visit there in person with your money mentors, because after all, what you can accomplish in just a couple of hours with you guys there at the office can really make an even bigger difference in what someone saves for their retirement. So why don't we open up that invitation to our listeners here this weekend? Because I think that time investment is, again, money saved and time well spent.
Yeah, think of it this way. Maybe we can curb or help you reduce your advisor fee by 1%. Maybe less, but let's say it's 1%. Secondly, then we do a little bit better with you on returns, so maybe we get a 2% better return. Not huge, but a nice little factor. And when it comes to taxes, now we lower them by another 2%. Well, that's a 5% difference on $1 million portfolio. That's $50,000.
Wow.
What would you do with an extra $50,000? And the beautiful thing is, it's not something that you've done greatly different, but by paying attention to all those areas, we picked up a little better situation that can extend your money. Even if it's only $250,000, I say that, but a 5% difference is, again, $12,500. Big money is being left behind because you're not paying attention to the little things. Give us a call at 800-536-8907, and we'll show you what a true, complete financial plan looks like.
If you have saved $250,000 or more for your retirement, this offer is for you. Because again, for those of you who've saved well for your retirement years, these are the difference makers that can really add up for your retirement. So take Gary up on this challenge this weekend. Give us a call, 800-536-8907. 800-536-8907. Or you can schedule that getting to know you chat right there through our website too at MatsonFinancial.com. That's Matson with 2 T's, financial.com. Well, here's a cool idea I was reading about in the Wall Street Journal. They say a growing number of wealthy families out there are writing out their mission statements in order to protect their families from fights and from losing their wealth. And I've heard of companies doing this, but these statements by families kind of do the same thing. They lay out their principles and their goals and help set the course for their decision-making financially. So, maybe we haven't sat down and done something quite as formal with our own families, but how important is it to at least share those goals with our loved ones?
Yeah, I think this should be paramount as part of the plan, as important as making that income or having those tax conversations, having that income plan. Sharing what that plan is with your families is key. And Jennifer, I think it was you and I on a previous show, we were talking about how I think it was the Vanderbilts, had this generational wealth, and by the 70s or 80s, all the inheritance, none of them could claim millionaire status.
Yeah, three generations.
Yes. So if you're not talking about it and talking about how to not only provide for yourself, but provide for that legacy, that's something that's going missed. And it's something that can lead to more taxes. How much more of that money went to Uncle Sam because of inefficiency in tax planning, or just inefficiency of passing assets down and not having the different buckets? Like, you have to have a plan. You have to talk about it. Like, if I'm the head coach of an NFL team and I had a plan of how to win and I didn't share that with my assistant coaches, chances are we're not going to win.
Yeah, and it's the other part that, how many times have we seen it, Gerald, when we had clients retire and pass on, and then the family just erupts and blows up?
Yeah.
We don't like it. It happens occasionally, and it's one of the saddest things that can happen is that something called stuff get in the way of family and what's really important. So it's the why. It's the why, what we call the why. Why are we doing this as a family? Why is the expectation? The beautiful thing about it is now you're passing assets, but here's the greatest part of that. When you pass your assets, now you're passing knowledge. You're going like, well, they have to get all this information? No, but by doing a financial plan and sending out the mission, they're going to understand what you're after, what you're trying to create. Let's face it, everybody gets off the track now and then. I can tell you when I was 18, I didn't know how to handle millions of dollars. No. They didn't have it, but I knew I wouldn't have, because I would have went to Corvette University, 4 wheels, red and fast, because I was into cars. I'm still into cars. So, some of those bad things never get taken care of. But one thing we do know is that by having a plan in place that transfers wealth and knowledge, some of our clients even require their children to have a financial plan in place before they can tap into assets. Mm-hmm. So once again, they don't have to be with us, but they have to have a financial advisor putting together a plan so that they know and we know exactly what the ramifications of that is.
And we encourage those lessons at Matson Financial Services. In fact, the team often works with multiple generations of one family. So if you want to have these conversations together, or at least lay out kind of that mission statement of sorts and actually pass on your goals to your family members, we encourage that. You can give us a call and start the conversation now at 800-536-8907, or take advantage of our retirement resources too for families at MatsonFinancial.com. That's Matson with 2 T's, financial.com. But up next, what ChatGPT has to say about what we're messing up when it comes to retirement. We'll give you their list coming up as Money Mentors continues right after the news right here on Wood Radio.
You're listening to the Money Mentors podcast.
As artificial intelligence becomes more a part of our daily lives, some of us think the days of robots taking over our jobs are here. New federal data suggests that 3 fields that will feel the impact the most are insurance adjusting, credit analysis, and paralegals. But opportunities, they say, will grow in the areas of software, personal finance, and engineering.
That's just the the business and the world as a whole. You go back to the Industrial Revolution where all these jobs were created around manufacturing things. And then those jobs shifted away. We became more of a service-based economy and a consumer-based economy. So that created more jobs there. Business is cyclical.
Well, look at Amazon, 14,000 middle managers because of AI that they've created and utilized. So if I was that person, I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Where am I going to go and be useful?
But that's where, when you look at those jobs, that management area, that's an opportunity to become a people manager. And how do you interact and instead of a business manager type thing? There's always those people managers. There's always room for efficiencies. And it's interesting to see what this next generation of technology is going to do.
For sure. But you have to be ready to pivot to learn more about it. And I know that actually your team at Matson Financial, you've been kind of learning more about AI for the last couple of years now and kind of learning how to implement this for yourself and your team there at Matson Financial Services. And here's the thing, there are some really cool things about what this technology can do. And actually, you can ask it about just anything. So recently, a Go Banking Rates columnist did just this and asked it about the worst or perhaps most costly mistakes that people make with their retirement planning. And I will have to say, guys, ChatGPT seemed to nail it here on some of the biggest things that people get wrong with their retirement plans. I want to start with the number one thing it spit out when it was asked about this: claiming Social Security too early. Now, this doesn't apply to everyone. Again, it can't give blanket advice here, but a lot of people do end up maybe just taking it randomly at 62 just because they think they need to do it, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And when I look at it, I just take average life expectancy. What is the average? Like we don't know when our last day on earth is going to be, but when I show the difference between a couple both taking it at 62 and then how much they would have made if they just waited a few more years and lived to average life expectancy, to Gary's point, that could be a couple $100,000 difference between what you received from Social Security and what you didn't.
That's one of the things my 102-year-old mother, almost there, February, 102-year-old mother said all the time through her life is that's the one financial mistake that she wished she could correct, and that is taking Social Security at 62. It was one of the mistakes she made. Of course, she's living to 102, so you can see why the benefit's there.
Yeah, right.
My favorite one on all of this list, of course, is ignoring taxes on Social Security.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize that when you get Social Security benefits, that's a taxable event to you, even though it's an insurance program set up by the government that we paid into it, that we're going to be taxed on that. So in other words, 85% of your benefits could be taxed depending upon your income. Mm-hmm. So that means only 15% are you really getting back free of taxes. And they're talking about changing that as well. So once again, Social Security, taking it too early, paying taxes on it. Most people don't understand how that all works. You need a plan so you can see that. And of course, that's one of the things our plans do is show you what's best interest for you.
Another thing that ChatGPT spit out when they asked about the most costly retirement mistakes is blowing or misunderstanding RMDs. And that's another easy one to get wrong.
Yeah, this is one where on these tax-deferred accounts, so your 401k, 403b, IRA, 457, all these dollars that you've put away that you haven't been taxed on at age 73, for most people, you have to start taking required minimum distributions. You have to take money out so Uncle Sam can tax it. So that's kind of what they're looking at. Now, most plans will allow you to set these up on auto distribution. So when they're supposed to come out, they come out. But some of them don't. So, and if you miss it, you're actually going to pay an excise tax. You're going to have to take out more, hence increasing your taxable income, which we touched on earlier. If your income goes up, the taxes on your Social Security could go up. The amount you pay for your Medicare premiums could go up. Everything is connected. So something simple as, hey, taking the money, let's plan for it, but know how much you have to take and take it on time.
And next on the list here today, guys, is missing that Medicare enrollment window. We're in one right now, in fact.
Yeah, open enrollment. Like this is why I love having Medicare Matt. Like I can't keep up with the healthcare side of things. He loves it. He's very passionate about it. I love that he's part of my client's team. And if you miss enrolling when you're supposed to, now you're getting penalized. So your premiums, even if your income is under that amount for the basic premiums, you're going to pay up to an additional 10% penalty each full 12-month period you delayed for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's it. Penalty for the rest of your life. I mean,
there's no way to fix it. If you miss it, the thousands of dollars that it could cost you is just baffling just for not signing up on time. So, Matt, I hope you're listening. Thank you for doing what you do, because I couldn't do it for my clients without your help. It's awesome you're on the team.
And then we have something called IRMA related to Medicare. You kind of
Don't
alluded
like
to
her at
this.
all. No.
No, we do not like IRMA. So explain this one.
So this goes back to looking at your taxable income. So if you have a bunch of RMDs or you're converting dollars from IRA to Roth IRAs, that's going to push your income higher. When your income goes above certain levels, and it's staggered, there's about 5 different levels of income that when you hit that mark, now your Medicare premiums go up, your Part B premiums, your Part D premiums for the prescription plan are going to go up. And it's a 2-year look back. So if this happens, it's going to stick with you for a couple
while.
years,
Yeah.
right? Before it readjusts. So again, now you're talking about a few $1,000s more in healthcare premiums for improper planning.
and the cool thing about that is maybe you've had a change in income. You're in the higher amounts of IRMA, and now your income change, it could be because of a job loss, a spousal not working, a retirement, loss of pension, whatever that is, that your income's gone down. You can actually file a form called an SSA-44 with Social Security, and they'll recalculate that back and get you the money back if you have that change. So there are some things you can correct if that world changes for you. So how much are you going to take the burden on yourself, or how much would you like us to take on for you?
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Another big one here on the ChatGPT list of the most costly mistakes when it comes to retirement, underestimating your health and your long-term care costs. But that's a hard thing to try to estimate for yourself, isn't it?
Oh, man, this is the one that's so close to me. It started when I was 8 years old, and my grandfather moved in with us, and he was wheelchair bound. And I can remember him scooting around the house with his, scooting with his legs in the wheelchair. And my job when I got off the bus every day was to check on him and make sure he's okay. And his job was to make sure that I got off the bus and was okay. And I got to share this wisdom with everybody. My grandfather told me, he says, when a girl hits you when you're 8 to 9 years old, that means she really likes you. I thought, that's great wisdom. So knowing this over the 36 years that Nancy and I have been married, I found out that she must really love me.
Must,
as much
yes.
as she hits me. That's a joke, Nancy. Don't take it personal. And this is the one that really, it can skyrocket. I've seen for myself, in my parents, they started out in an assisted living apartment, and that went well. Over the last 4 years, though, we've moved them 6 times as care needed to be developed and got worse and worse and worse with memory care. It started out at, just ready for this, $3,500 a month for both of them. That means they got food, a little check on now and then. Now it's over $14,000 a month.
Wow.
Think of that. Change from
Wow.
$3,500 to $14,000. If they weren't prepared for that and they didn't have the funds to do that, where would they get the care? It would be responsible for me and my family, as well as my brother who lives in California, and we don't have the skills, nor do I want to be there taking care of my mother. It's like I told my kids, I don't want them in there cleaning up after me. So a nice way to do that is you plan this out. You shift that responsibility to insurance companies, or you can put into a position that you're financially capable of doing that, but we need to do those calculations. And the cool thing about some of the long-term care insurance policies now is if you don't use them, your family gets all the money back. And then also have it set up that if you don't use it, it comes back.
Yeah.
One of my clients, he famously said, because they had 7 daughters, he says, I'm not worried about long-term care at all because I'm going to have one daughter come each day of the week to take care of their mother.
There's a plan.
I told Julie my plan is if I get to that point where I'm not with it and I don't want to ever be a burden, I said, let's go on a vacation to the Grand Canyon, and oops, I fell in.
Yeah, those are great things to talk about, but exercising them at the right time, Julie may be going to jail.
Right.
So like this gentleman, well, what happened before he passed, he lost one of his daughters to cancer.
Oh.
So who's going to pick up that extra day? Now, I'm putting that in position that things change. Our best laid plans may not work out because of circumstances that we can't control. That's why we need to have a plan in place that's flexible to take care of you and make sure that your wealth is taken care of as well.
So important, especially when you're talking about such a serious topic when it comes to healthcare. I want to quickly go over the next ones on this ChatGPT list. We don't have time to discuss all of them here, but things like having too much or too little stock exposure, cashing out your 401k when you change jobs. That's a big no-no.
That's a
yeah. Ignoring the changing rules from Congress, and then forgetting your housing blind spots too. All of those big mistakes. But as I was going over this list from ChatGPT, I thought, you know what? There's not really anything new here that we haven't discussed for years here on Money Mentors. ChatGPT just happened to condense them all for us here, but
Are they looking over our shoulder? I wonder.
I feel like they have gotten this information from you guys. You know, you've been through retirement so many times with your clients. You've seen some of the mistakes people have made, and you help your clients avoid some of these mistakes. And I think, you know, at Matson Financial, too, you get the best of both worlds, right? You get that experience from someone who's been there who can walk you through these decisions. You also get really cool technology, too, things that help people plan their retirement in new and different ways today. So for our listeners, how can they come in, have that conversation, and really kind of get the best of both worlds?
If that's something you're looking for and you want to have the confidence in your plan, please call us at 800-536-8907. The only thing we ask is that you saved at least $250,000 because, again, we have no fees when it comes to trading your account and helping you build that wealth. And again, call 800-536-8907 and one of our team members will be on the phone with you and answer your questions and get your information so we can make a credible plan for you so you can have confidence you will not run out of money throughout retirement.
Make that call during today's show. You can do it right now during the break at 800-536-8907. Or simply schedule that 15-minute getting to know you call through our website at matsonfinancial.com. Matson with 2 T's, financial.com. But next, one particular type of money is running out quickly, and the most costly retirement penalties. We'll get into that next, coming up here as Money Mentors continues with Gerald and Gary right here on Wood Radio.
Getting you not just to, but through retirement. This is the Money Mentors Podcast.
Thanks for checking out the Money Mentors Podcast, where we talk about your money here every week. And guys, there's a shortage of a certain type of money these days. USA Today reports many retailers and convenience stores are reporting penny shortages now since the Treasury Department was told to wind down production of the penny back in May. Some are even asking Congress now to pass something to allow them to round their transactions up to the nearest nickel to avoid issues with giving out change to customers. So we might want to hold on to some of our pennies. It might be worth even more in the future. But penny shortage aside here, I think the money shortage most of us worry about ourselves is running out of money in retirement, which involves a lot more than just pennies on the dollar. So when you're looking at the future for your clients, how do you help them map out just how much money they're going to need for retirement?
Well, if the pennies wouldn't land tail side up, I would have picked up a lot more. I only pick them up when their head side up. So that's the first problem right there.
I pick them up because I'm a penny ahead.
No, this is the most common fear when we sit down with clients that they have is, hey, I don't want to outlive my money. All right.
Absolutely.
I want to do what I want to do. I'm going to do it smart. You tell me what I can and can't do, and I'm going to listen. And most of our clients do listen. It's a matter of let's have that plan. What does income look like? But their biggest fear is I don't want to run out of money. I'm not worried about creating generational wealth for my kids or my grandkids. If there's something left, great. I just don't want to be a burden. I want to make sure that I can provide for whatever my needs are and whatever my lifestyle is all the way through retirement. Here's the shocker. It takes planning. And we can have the best plan, but we don't know how long you're going to live. We don't know what your needs are going to be throughout. We don't know in what sequence of events things are going to happen. But we've seen 95% of these things happen. The only 5% we haven't seen is because it hasn't happened yet. Alien invasion. So it's a matter of putting that plan together so we know, okay, if this happens, then we can do this. What are the options? Having those options, talking about the plan, informing those who are involved in your plan, whether it's your 7 daughters that are going to come in one day a week, to take care of you later on in life. You're like, how are we going to provide for that? How are we going to pay the bills? Who's going to pay the bills? What's the estate plan look like? All of those things. Let's talk about it. Let's put the plan together.
And so to do that for us, what we do is we have something called your income bucket. Now, the income bucket we put together for you is generally going to hold about 18 months of income for you. And the reason we do that is because the market will not inflate or harm those dollars in there. So we know they're coming out. We take the taxes out. You get the net. That's what you're living on. Now that gives us the next 18 months to see what the market's going to offer. So we're active money traders. That means that we're going to move. If there's an opportunity, we're going to buy. If it's time to harvest, like we're seeing right now, it's time to sell. And we refill that income bucket. So the goal is always to take income from growth, not from principal. That way, we like to talk about the goose and the golden eggs. You're consuming the golden eggs, all you need, all you want. Your goose is still getting fatter and growing so it can produce more eggs in the future. So our inflation and cost of living. So that's what we like to map out for your income plan. We call it a compass. It gives you a direction of how it's going to go. And we fulfill all the things that can come in there, all your expenses, all your potential incomes. And we want more than just one source of income. Why? Because if one dries up or one goes bad, we want to have the opportunity to get in there and make more money other places. And that's why we have several layers of investments. We want to have different types of investments because we know when stocks and bonds are together in the last 25 years, about a third of the time, they both go down together. So if all you're offering in your portfolio, stocks and bonds, you're going to be taking money from principal, and we don't want to do that. So that's why we put the plan together so you can see it, and that compass report is going to show you exactly how much money you will have left after you leave this earth and what you can do with your family.
So for our listeners who'd like to map that out, see what it looks like based on what they've saved for retirement, how can they come in and run those numbers with you?
The easiest way is give us a call at 1-800-536-8907. We have people standing by right now to take your phone call. And for the next 5 callers, if you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, we're going to show you here's what that plan looks like. We're going to put the dollars to it. We're going to, how can we save taxes? How can we maximize income? What does your risk look like? Everything and anything you're going to potentially have to deal with in retirement. Those are the conversations we want to have, and it's going to be individualized to you, and it's going to be comprehensive.
If you can't get to the phone right now, maybe you're driving or it's inconvenient to get to the phone, you can also go to matsonfinancial.com after the show or throughout the week and schedule an appointment. They'll maybe down the road a little bit, but we'll open up appointments for you there as well at matsonfinancial.com.
Couple of really easy ways to do it with us this weekend, but either way, go ahead and schedule that time to go over your plan. It really does give you that confidence to know that, hey, I'm not going to run out of money in retirement. In fact, a lot of our listeners find out that you've done the hard work. You can make that decision to go when you want to, make that decision to retire. And you can do that again, 800-536-8907, or that website Gary mentioned there, matsonfinancial.com. Well, a little check-in this weekend. How are your favorite football teams doing, guys? How are we feeling?
Well, if we can get the refs out of there, we're doing pretty good.
If only for that. Gerald, yours?
Oh, after last weekend, I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay.
I'm not delusional. I have no aspirations of a national championship or a Super Bowl victory this year, but hey, be competitive.
Okay.
Don't get embarrassed.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, don't get embarrassed. I'm kind of embarrassed for my team, but I won't even mention them this weekend. But as we're watching those favorite teams this weekend, nothing is more frustrating than maybe watching them suffer from penalties. And I think it is actually the same thing for retirees. Nothing more frustrating than watching people lose money unnecessarily due to penalties. So which penalties do our listeners need to really watch out for in retirement? What frustrates you the most as advisors?
I hate penalties when it comes to income. I mean, this one drives me nuts. To me, it's kind of like watching volleyball and you have the service person hitting the ball to go over the net. That starts the whole action. And instead of hitting over the net, they hit in the net. I mean, come on. That's the first basic thing you got to do. And penalties is the same thing when it comes to income. Avoid the penalties.
Right. The one I hate the most is the Medicare one because we touched on it earlier. That is a penalty for life. So it's like opening up every football game with a 15-yard penalty or an ejection. So make sure you have a plan around healthcare and you do what you're supposed to when you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, and for me, it's always going to be the required minimum distributions, paying the taxes on that. And if you don't take the right amount out, it's a 25% penalty. So many times we hear out there that, my CPA said this or that. The required minimum distributions is your responsibility. Nobody can take that over for you. But what happens out there, somebody has misinformation. In fact, if you Google it, CPAs have the most misinformation when it comes to required minimum distributions. If you've got a 401k, an IRA, and another type of account, maybe a 457 or another type of retirement account, you must take out from each and every different account. So different rules for different ones. So 401k and IRA, you must take distributions out of those. Now, if you're CPA out there and you say, no, you don't, it's just a group number, check the IRS code, you're going to see that, no, you've got to take out from each account individually, and that's why we combine them to give you one pot called an IRA, and then you can aggregate or choose where you want to take the money out. So once again, that's the one that drives most people nuts because they didn't realize it, and the IRS is cracking down and making sure you take out of every account. You want to know how they know? Because they get this form 5498 in May, just like you do, and it says what's in your IRA accounts, what's in your 401k, and it's a very simple AI program that they now have that they're going to audit that and say, hey, you've got this 401k, you took out of the IRA the amount you should have for all things, you didn't take out of the 401k, here's a 25% deposit. To us, you just paid the IRS money they didn't deserve.
Right. Yeah, and Gary's been doing this for over 30 years now. He's taken his knowledge, he's passed it on to myself, to Taylor. So again, when we talk about clients' plans, it's not just something that we're plugging into software and spinning it out. That gets us so far. That gets some of the foundational stuff, the easy stuff. But now we're taking what's been practiced over 3 decades of time, and now we're putting it into this comprehensive plan, individualized to you. We're looking at penalties. We're looking at income. We know kind of what life expectancy looks like. Here's what you should do for Social Security. Here's how you protect yourself with estate planning. All those other advisors who are out there and, hey, let's talk about your investable assets. Yeah, that's great. But if you're not talking taxes, if he's not talking taxes with you or part of a team that is, come to Mattson Financial. That's what we do here. This is a team, and I tell all my clients when they have a question in retirement, they have one number to call, and that's that 1-800-536-8907 number, and we're going to get to work for you.
Absolutely. So our team, in fact, will be standing by for a few minutes after today's show. If you want to call it now, 800-536-8907. Your money mentors are there to be that guide, to help you avoid things like penalties, to map out what retirement might look like for you based on what you've saved for retirement. And if you have questions about anything we discuss on today's show, we invite you to give us a call now, 800-536-8907. Or, as Gary mentioned earlier, you can always drop us a line through the website too at matsonfinancial.com. And be sure to join us here again next weekend for more lessons right here with your Money Mentors.
In retirement, it's not a destination, rather a never-ending opportunity to exceed your dreams, goals, and desires.
Enjoy that extra hour of sleep this weekend, and we'll see you at our next meeting.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Mattson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Mattson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Mattson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.